Welcome to the Cashflow Academy podcast. I'm Andy Tanner, your host. This is where we make investing fun, simple, and real, and brief. Today, my producer just says, we have these mega terabyte discs that we never erase. And she says, hey, you got 14 minutes to do this podcast. So, and the editor has the backup disc. So we thought we should dedicate more time to this, but we're going to do a shout out to a few students. We're going to name some names, or at least first names.
Yeah.
It's so fulfilling to do. So I'm here with Corey, Noah. If you want to, we don't have time to do introductions. Watch a different one and you'll know who we are. But we're going to talk about the Cashflow Academy and some shout out to students. This, golly, you get me emotional in 15 minutes. There are some people who have a job, and they talk about there's books that talk about this. Some people have a job, some people have a career, and some people are lucky enough to find their calling. And I did not get into teaching 30 years ago because I was beating Warren Buffett in an investing contest in my 20s. That is not why I became a teacher. I became a teacher because Kim Kiyosaki pulled me aside, said, Andy, you have a pretty simple mind, but you do make things simple for people, and that's why I became a teacher. And I always, when I grew up, I was always struggled. My father, great human being, school teacher, not a lot of money in our household. And I always wanted to know the secret of that stuff. And so I began to teach it because I wanted to learn it. And the biggest payoff we get is the students. It is the relationships that we get to interact with them and watch them grow. So I said, let's do a 14-minute podcast. And Corey said, hey, let's give a shout out to a couple of students.
Yeah.
So we have Corey, we have Noah, we're the Cashflow Academy.
We're running the risk that we're going to leave some names out.
We will.
We're going to leave names out.
There's just too many to name.
Yeah.
For sure.
But let's highlight, let's give a shout out to some of the students and some of the stories.
It was really fun when we went to Houston and we had a live event.
Yes, it was.
Because that was a chance to see people. And I remember as we were at this live event, how often people would say, I've heard your voice so many times and I've seen you in some capacity.
It was like Mike, we did a back-to-back. We had a real estate or a sales event where me and Than Merrill did a sales negotiation on how to sell and negotiate. And then on the back of it, there's this guy named Mike, and he's sitting there quiet. And at the end, he says, hey, when does Noah and Corey get here? Because I came here to get a selfie with them. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But it is fun. It's so fun to meet people. And even just through our interactions, through our coaching program as an example. So Mo has been in the coaching program for a long time. And I taught this lesson based off of 401 Chaos, your book, where you talk about how those fees that the broker is taking,
your compounding power.
It just steals it away. And over time, they're taking zero of the risk, but getting a lion's share of the gain because they just keep taking away that percentage. And so based on that, I said, well, if you wanted to have some passive investments, let's just say you wanted to automate, here's a way to do it for completely free, zero expense, zero commission, and showed them this little compounding way. Well, we met Mo at the Houston event. He took that to heart, and he's
By the way, Mo has taken every class we have.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude is a freaking
He is awesome.
fiend in terms of soaking up stuff.
Yeah.
And he's quiet. He doesn't say much.
Yeah. Incredible.
He's a learner, not a speaker.
And he said a huge thank you just the other day because that one principle has made him thousands and thousands of dollars and saved him off of all those expenses, And when you get those types of responses from individuals, that's what we're here for. Because I always say I don't have that much to offer the world, but if you want to learn about chemistry or geology or whatever, I got nothing to offer. But if you want to learn some financial tips and some ways to do better in your investing and the things that you want to do in the markets and compounding and cash flowing and using options to insure, this is the stuff that I can actually do better than most humans, and it's what I have to offer. And so it's heartwarming when you get that and you see it making a difference in people's lives.
Like
so that
real
was
difference.
a huge difference. Yeah.
We got to talk about Mike.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Mike's.
Let me tell you a story about Mike real quick.
Yeah, tell me what's new with Mike.
Well, Mike. Well, first of all, we have twinner dogs. Apparently,
we're not going to use like last names.
His dog is just as cute as my dog.
Whitaker and Mo Brown? Are we using last names?
I
said we weren't going to use last names.
So Mike was given the opportunity to take an early retirement.
Yeah.
And he's an extremely thoughtful, analytical guy.
Oh,
Very
no,
much.
That's an understatement.
Analytic.
That's an understatement.
Absolutely. And he and his wife Linda have been feeling a little nervous. Like they've got plenty. I mean, they've done everything right in life.
Sure.
And am I ready to retire? Am I ready to retire? And he's looking at his numbers and he's kind of thinking through those things. And he opted to take the early retirement because he knows he can cash flow. He knows he can protect his portfolio. With the recent market dip, he's like, what a great feeling it was to see the market go down 20 some odd percent, and to realize in my portfolio I've kept that damage down to 2-3%.
Yeah.
Like that's an amazing feeling, knowing that you can control the risk, preserve your capital, and keep generating income.
That was the big
flow.
Epiphany for Jeff, because Jeff had not known how to hedge before the cycle. And he's like, I'm down 3% when the market's down whatever it was. He's like, he didn't realize what a win that is.
Huge win.
It's an insane win.
Yep.
So, well, congratulations to Michael. But my favorite, he was more experienced than most of those guys. And my favorite part of Michael, I'll never forget this, is Noah has this exercise that we do as a group where you have chips in a bag and you have to do betting, and you pull out chips and you win or you lose. And it's a risk management strategy. And what the exercise does is shows you that human nature without education rules, you will lose. Just absolutely, just the psychology of how this betting stuff works makes people lose.
Because what most people do is they increase their risk as they're on a downturn, right? They try to get back to break even.
That's why people martingale.
Yeah, they try to get back to break even.
Martingaling is what people do. So we had them in groups at tables, probably 6 to a table, probably group. And they had to make these decisions as a group to beat the other tables. I don't know how many dozen tables we had, but I just remember I just remember Michael all but on his hands and knees pleading with, do not make this decision. He's just getting voted down and they're just getting killed, and he just knows the math and he knows the psychology, he knows the thing, and he's a pretty quiet, passive guy, but in this instance, man, he is pleading and begging everyone to go. So it's
that
great.
Was great.
It's
that
great,
was
great
great
stuff. The other victories I like, though, are not, the guys getting out of the rat race, guys, big money. But the one I really love also is when people say, I just did my first cash flow trade. I just clicked and got paid.
Yeah.
Or we had a challenge recently, and now we're going to name names. I forgot her name. I think it was Linda. Mm-hmm. And she said, I had the first conversation with my husband about money that we'd ever have. And that gets me emotional because that is real stuff.
Yeah.
When couples know what to talk about and they can talk about money, that changes their relationship for the better, and it puts them on the path of a happier life, even in the process. Like, you don't have to wait to be out of the rat race to feel joy and happiness, because once you know you're going to get there, a problem like recognized as a problem half solved. And when you have a plan to solve the problems, it's as good as solved. It's just a matter of time now. And that brings happiness and hope for the present, because you see your future more clearly. Like Micah said, we're not working anymore. We got this. We got this because we see the future.
And it's so cool because the financial education and improving your finances actually impacts other areas of those people's lives, like their marriages, like their relationship with money and their kids and what their kids learn. And so one more shout out to Brian and Kyra. So
you
Brian
probably got 1 minute. What do we got?
Brian
1 minute?
was in the coaching program.
Okay.
And so it was funny in a conversation, he was studying this and she not so much. but she would hear us. She would hear our voices. And she said to me, has never met you before, but she said, I love Andy. Is he like that in real life? And I said, he is exactly the human that you hear. Bad. No, you hear on the podcast. He is that human in real life. And it's funny because, I hear that in the Houston event, like, oh, we came to see Andy and it's great that he's the exact same person, and it is. I mean, I always tell the story of like, I remember one time Noah and I came here and you'd been to Alaska. So by the time we're leaving, we got like handfuls of Alaskan salmon or something we're taking home. It's just anything he can do to help, anything he can do to share, he is more than happy to do it.
I love our students with every cell in my body. They are so worth everything we go through. And running the Cashflow Academy is a really hard job. And we do it for the students because our motto is fun, simple, real. Fun is really easy. It comes natural to us. Simple is a talent for all of us. Real is hard to do.
Yeah.
I fight with marketers all the time because there's so much, can I say bullshit? My mom would be really mad if she heard me say that. But there is a rhetorical world of people that want to promise things that aren't real, and it makes it hard to compete.
Yeah.
So we are grateful for the students that say, you know what, I understand there's some work, I understand there's some effort, and there's some time to compound. But once they buy into what we call generalized principles that are true in all cases, then we can talk about accelerating wealth. We can talk about the use of leverage. We can talk about the concept of infinite return, and we can change lives. So great stories.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to all of you. If you have not yet gotten Corey's coaching program, it's life-changing. If you've not yet got in Noah's Mentor Club, it's life-changing. And I like to think the classes I teach, benefit students as well. So we're grateful for all of you students, and we wish we could just go through the whole list of 170 countries we have students in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. But we love to hear from you, and write your comments in the notes and tell us what you'd like us to topics for the podcast. Because we are here to serve. We're here to do the work.
We should open up a request line.
Yeah, we take requests like the day.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, I've always got stuff because I constantly have little messages coming into the inbox. So I get...
We should mention that. We have a text between the three of us. Well, we added Jeff to it, so we have the four of us now. And those are the celebrations that we put in every day, is every time someone says, hey, I had a win, we get to celebrate that between the four of us. But anyway, go ahead.
So this just last week, I had a lovely lady named Kathy who is a new student, and she's been working hard, kind of getting close to retirement age, and she's got a little nest egg built up, and seeing that what she's gone through with the education is just awoken in her, just the drive. And seeing the market move down and understanding how much that changes your net worth, and learning that you can protect that has really motivated her. And she's pursuing the classes. She's sharing the information and talking with her father about the classes, and they're having a good time with it. And she got to where she placed her first trade, and that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's huge.
When someone can click and get paid.
Click and get paid.
Especially in a credit trade situation. Yeah. We have so many credit trades. That's life-changing when people click a button and see money come to their account because they clicked the button the right way.
Well, for all of us, the first time we ever clicked and got paid, that something triggered.
Oh, it doesn't get old.
It does not get old.
It doesn't get old.
It gets faster. It gets easier.
Yeah. It does get
it becomes automatic, really.
It doesn't get old. It gets routine, but it doesn't get old.
Yeah.
I think the round of letters we got after this drop were the most fulfilling to me. We took, so last summer, we between the three of our texts, the tone changed.
Yeah.
Probably around June, July-ish. Particularly Mr. Bull here started to turn bearish. And when Corey turns bearish, I mean, you and I are always bearish, but when Corey turns bearish, you got to listen. And we started talking about the preparations we were going to make for this downturn last summer. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we felt duty bound to share that with the students, to say, hey, we see some stuff coming here. This is how we're going to protect. And it was a really, there were a lot of people that gave us their trust right there. Said, okay, if these guys are battening down the hatches, we're going to learn how they do it. So we did it was planned, but not stringent. In other words, we gave ourselves, we thought we'll talk about 2 hours a night for 4 nights in a row. It was more like 3
or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours, because we're long-winded.
We have broken it down into sections, though.
Have they done that now? So what we did is we took people through 4 days in a row, Monday through Thursday, I think it was, and we showed them, different stages of a crash, how bearish
what we call armor
develop.
levels.
Yeah, we came up with a really cool name. AI came up with it, actually. I said, AI, what's a cool name for this?
Yeah.
And it's called ARMOR, which is Advanced Risk Management Opportunity Readiness. And so to see the flood of students that wrote, especially after the day, remember the day after the 10% drop, the 9% drop?
Yeah.
Remember the letters came in the next day? People like, are you kidding me?
Quick shout out to an example, Trev Pulgase, I think it is. Yeah. I believe he's in Australia or New Zealand. But anyway, talking about how the market, he was flat year to date, and yet the market was down X%.
Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't made any money, but the difference in that percentage is huge.
People were saying, you just saved me 50,000. You just saved me 100,000.
Exactly.
You just saved me.
You saved my family.
You save $1 million or
that
whatever.
That was an awesome one.
Awesome stuff where people saw, man, I get to start here now, and then everything that comes up there,
then they get the benefit of the recovery, but they didn't experience as much of the drawdown.
But that was a landslide of letters.
We had a little adjustment and repair meeting right that day that the market took that hit.
Was that the one I came in late on?
Yeah, the one you came in and popped in.
Well, what was funny is this was terrible. I think I know where you're going with this. So we had messed up the time. So the recording of the webinar started long before we got there, because
an hour before,
whatever it was. So we got students there talking about us without us.
They're hanging out, and
they're talking. They're talking.
Noah's eavesdropping.
So we're so bad. We went and listened to it. Like, what are they saying when we're not around?
Yeah. Well, it was awesome, to hear Lynette and a couple of the others just talking about just how they were protecting their portfolios and the things that they were looking for. And they were already talking about things, opportunity to buy stuff, but they were in there just talking shop, sharing, just how comfortable and confident they felt about managing that downside risk and seeing it coming. That was pretty awesome. So, and they didn't say not a bad word about us.
Well, that's because they didn't know I was showing. They didn't know I was showing. I wasn't scheduled to be on that with Noah, but it's so funny because when we schedule something, Noah will say, hey, care if I drop in? Or your schedule, hey, do you care if I drop? Because we love it. Yeah, we absolutely love it, which is really evidence of passion and calling. Because when you'd rather do that, you're not scheduled to be there, but when you'd rather be with the team than off scrolling on Instagram, that says a lot. Hey, kind of a different topic, just to shout out to these students. Join us. If you like what we have on this podcast, go deeper. A way to do that, and I advertise this all the time, is yourinvestingclass.com. It's all one word, yourinvestingclass.com. Right now, it's not even a class; it's an ebook, and that ebook will change your life. It will absolutely change how you think about money. It'll organize your goals. It'll show you how to get a weekly session by yourself or with a spouse, life-changing stuff, and it's free. So go to yourinvestingclass.com, check it out, and don't miss out on the action. Don't miss out. Join a mentor club. See what you can do in the coaching program that Corey runs, and really take the dive in this important time where we have volatility, possibly some good sales to pick up, and yet AI it's really going to drive the market over the next 10 years. So with that, I thank Corey, I thank Noah, I thank you for watching. You've been listening to the Cashflow Academy podcast. This is where we make it fun, simple, real. We'll see you next time.